We begin with two high-profile visits to Capitol Hill that are now up in the air. President Trump said today he would press forward with his State of the Union address, delivering it Tuesday night in the chamber of the House of Representatives. Then, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who controls access to that chamber, said she will not allow the speech to happen until the government shutdown is resolved. The shutdown is in its 33rd day. The other big visit to Capitol Hill that's been put on hold involves the president's former lawyer, Michael Cohen. Cohen was set to appear before the House Oversight Committee early next month, but today a lawyer for Cohen put out this statement. Due to ongoing threats against his family from President Trump and Mr. Giuliani as recently as this weekend, as well as Mr. Cohen's continued cooperation with ongoing investigations, by advice of counsel, Mr. Cohen's appearance will be postponed. Mr. Giuliani, of course, refers to Rudy Giuliani, President Trump's lawyer. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee had previously warned the president against trying to intimidate Cohen after Mr. Trump said this in a Fox News interview earlier this month.
I was a client of his, and, you know, you're supposed to have lawyer-client privilege, but it doesn't matter because I'm a very honest person, frankly. But he's in trouble on some loans and fraud and taxi cabs and stuff that I know nothing about. And in order to get a sentence reduced, he says, I have an idea. I'll give you some information on the president. Well, there is no information, but he should give information maybe on his father-in-law, because that's the one that people want to look at, because where does that money? That's the money in the family. And I guess he didn't want to talk about his father-in-law. He's trying to get his sentence reduced. So it's pretty sad. You know, it's weak, and it's very sad to watch a thing like that. I couldn't care less.
What is his father-in-law's name?
I don't know, but you'll find out and you'll look into it, because nobody knows what's going on over there.
According to reporting from ProPublica, Cohen's now father-in-law pleaded guilty to a felony, conspiracy to defraud the IRS, in 1993. That was a year before his daughter married Michael Cohen. Congressman Elijah Cummings, the chair of House Oversight, spoke earlier today.
I can guarantee you, whatever we have to do to get him here, we're going to do it.
Do you think Mr. Cohen is acting in good faith at this stage?
Oh, no doubt. I definitely believe he's acting in good faith, and I believe that he is in fear for his family.
Let's bring in Paula Reid, Keir Dougall, and Rebecca Roiphe. Paula is a CBS News Washington correspondent. Keir is a CBSN legal contributor and former federal prosecutor here in New York. Rebecca is also a CBSN legal contributor and a former assistant district attorney in New York. Welcome to everyone. Paula, I'm going to start with you. Remind us, how did we get to this point?
About 2 weeks ago, Cohen announced that he would accept an invitation to testify before Congress. Many people expected this hearing to be a blockbuster, because this is someone who worked very closely with the president for a long time and would know a lot about what happened on the campaign, what happened within the business, and at key moments in the investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 campaign. But after that announcement, the president sort of ramped up his attacks against Cohen, constantly referencing his family. I don't think it's fair to say there are any direct threats made, but there were these references, like the one you just heard on Fox News, to Cohen's father-in-law. And now we are told that Cohen has said that he does not believe he can safely testify. Now, there have also been questions, though, by folks in Congress about how fruitful this hearing would have been, because he would be limited in how much he could share during this testimony. He really wouldn't be able to share much about the Russia investigation and other ongoing matters. So there were some concerns that maybe this wouldn't have been such a blockbuster. But today he said he's backing out because he fears for the safety of his family.
And Paula, at the White House today, the president was asked about Cohen, saying he was threatened. I want to play the president's response. Let's listen.
Michael Cohen testimony, he says he's been threatened by you and Mr. Giuliani. He and his family have been threatened.
No, I would say he's been threatened by the truth. He's only been threatened by the truth, and he doesn't want to do that, probably for me or other of his clients. He has other clients also, I assume, and he doesn't want to tell the truth for me or other of his clients.
So, Paula, is there a strategy behind what appears to be a continual undermining of Cohen's credibility by the president?
Well, let's take that statement. The first half of that statement was pretty easy to decipher. He's saying, look, he's afraid of having to tell the truth. Michael Cohen is an admitted liar. He has admitted to lying before Congress. He has consistently lied during the course of this investigation. His credibility is a problem. If he went before Congress, Republicans likely would have asked him, well, why should we believe you now? Because the last time you were here, you lied to us. But the second half of the president's statement there, it's not exactly clear what he's saying. Something about not wanting to tell the truth because of other clients. We transcribed it. I tried to read it. It just wasn't coherent. I think the overall strategy is one that the president often deploys, which is just to attack, attack, attack. And of course, it used to be Cohen who would do a lot of that attacking and a lot of threatening on behalf of his former boss. He was notorious for issuing what were clearly threats, specifically against reporters who had questions he didn't like about his former boss.
Sure. And as you pointed out, Cohen has already been convicted and sentenced for lying to Congress. Could that possibly play into this decision to postpone his testimony?
Well, right now, the biggest role that plays is a tight deadline. Congressional leaders have not said whether or not they want to subpoena him, force him to come and testify, but they need to make a decision pretty quickly because he is due to begin a 3-year jail term in early March. So if they want to subpoena him, if they think that could get caught up in the courts, they need to make that decision pretty quickly.
So someone cannot be pulled out of jail to testify before Congress, Paula?
That's a great question and one I don't actually know the answer to. But I think it would probably be cleaner and easier for everyone if they could get that done before he goes to federal prison for 3 years.
Absolutely. Paula Reid, thank you so much. And Rebecca, what is your take then on Cohen's decision to postpone his testimony?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, this is what happens when a president tries to interfere in individual prosecutions and suggests that he might go after some particular individual where it would have a repercussion on somebody who is testifying or scheduled to testify before Congress. Second of all, I really think that here, first of all, there's something else that Lanny said in his letter, which is that Cohen also decided not to testify in part because of the ongoing Mueller investigation. So that can't be forgotten. I think the Mueller investigation just had this problem with the BuzzFeed report being erroneous and may, in fact, have communicated to Lanny Davis and to Congress that they're not comfortable with his testimony going forward.
Oh, so you think the Mueller investigation, the Mueller team may be behind this postponement as well?
I think it's possible.
It's possible.
I think it's possible. And then, of course, I also believe what Lanny Davis said, which is the president has come forward, and I don't know, I know Paula didn't want to characterize it as a threat, but in his tweets he made it look as if he will suggest that the Department of Justice go after Cohen's father-in-law, and that seems very close to a threat and extremely problematic.
And a lot of people would probably agree with that assessment. Keir, what sort of legal problems does all of this raise for the president and his legal team?
Right. So it depends somewhat on your view of the Constitution and what the president's Article 2 powers are. So we had a long hearing with the AG nominee Bill Barr describing, and the memo that was of such controversy, where there's this very conservative legal view that the president, if he's exercising one of his constitutional powers, can't obstruct justice. And so the theory would be, well, he's the chief law enforcement officer, and so he has the right to call for an investigation, and therefore, even if he does it with a corrupt intent, with an intent to intimidate a witness, that's not an obstructive crime. That is a very conservative view. It is not shared by everyone. And when you walk up to that line and test that limit as the president, like Rebecca just said, you create all kinds of problems for the public who wants to simply get to the truth. In the one hearing where there is a subpoena power and the investigation is conducted in public.
All right, so this last question is for both of you. We have learned that the Supreme Court has agreed to keep secret the details of a dispute involving Mueller's team and a foreign company. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that it's a Russian company, but of course we have no basis for that. But what we do know is that the Supreme Court has decided to keep it secret. What does all of this say to you? Rebecca, let's start with you.
Well, it says to me there's a lot more mystery out there that we don't yet know about the Mueller investigation. But a couple of things. I mean, first of all, it's not really surprising that they would have kept it secret. It's not surprising that a group of journalists would have wanted access to this information. We all want it, but Mueller's being very careful about when this information comes forward. And the key question here is, as you said, which country? And I think you're probably on pretty safe grounds suggesting that it's Russia, and what kind of company it is. A lot of people have speculated that it's a financial institution. That would be important to know. And, you know, I think the underlying case is really, you know, it's not that surprising in some ways that this that they would be fighting a grand jury subpoena in this context, and that they would lose that battle, because in the criminal context, if it's a grand jury subpoena and this company has been doing business related to America and particularly related to this probe, I don't see that they have a particularly good legal argument not to be able to resist that.
So, Keir, what do you make of all of this? Can a foreign company, if it is a Russian company, regardless of whether it's Russian, any foreign company be forced to testify?
So we're all struggling here. We're really speculating. It really is speculation. I think it's pretty well confirmed, but it's still not completely confirmed that it's Mueller, that it's this grand jury subpoena is in the Mueller probe. It could be Russia, it could be, we don't know. But what we do know from the court is that this is a company that was engaged in commercial activity in the United States, and frankly, it's just not that surprising if that's what you're doing in the U.S., that you would be ordered to comply with a grand jury subpoena. I think it's very bad news for this company that Chief Justice Roberts lifted the stay, allowing these hefty penalties to accrue.
Keir Dougall and Rebecca Roiphe, thank you once again for sharing all of your legal expertise with us.